mates. Hello. Oh, these are getting worse and worse as time goes on, aren't they? Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy New Year, if I missed you last time. Happy morning, because it's morning by me, but happy afternoon, evening, night, whatever it is by you. Howdy! Thank you guys for joining. This is pretty exciting because we're going to change it up a little, right? Because you're looking at this and you're thinking, this doesn't look right. And it's not right because we are going to do something different. So, that was weird. Welcome to the newest installation of the Inspiration type series. Today we are going to be doing learning letters with me. So it could be disastrous because my letters are not always that great. But we thought it would be fun to kind of go over how I create some of my letters because sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're not. And I'm just going to put out the disclaimer that I am not a trained calligrapher. I am not formally trained. I do not have some kind of certificate that makes me undeniably, inarguably incredible. I mean, I am already, but in terms of calligraphy. And this is just going to be like a fun thing. So, I mean, this is a pretty nice looking H, I think. And this B is pretty modern and spiffy. So it's just going to be a bit of playtime with pens. And hopefully it will be useful. And I'm probably going to learn something along the way because I kind of don't really know how I create my letters too. I just kind of make them as we go. So that's going to be interesting. The supplies I'm going to be using, I have a variety of pens. My notebook I'm going to be using is the Maruman Mnemosyne number 195. This is the lined. If you've been here before, you've seen it before. Obviously, we have inked around in it. And I have a selection of pens here. Now, you don't have to use these pens. I'm just using these because these are ones that I frequently use. Some I might use more than others. And they're just options to have. So the first thing we have is the Pilot. I'm just going to put the Metro Retro. That's confusing. This is the 1.0 millimeter nib. It's kind of like an italic because it's pretty crisp. We have the... I inked these last night, and then they sat in a freezing cold room, so it's amazing that they're writing. This is the Lamy Safari. This is the I believe it's the 1.1, yes. This is a 1.1 millimeter nib. That was a horrible M. This is the Sailor 1911. Oh, this one is definitely feeling that ink starvation. It was 14 degrees in here, Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but that's pretty nippy, so I wouldn't be surprised if the ink is perishing slowly. Okay, and this is the music nib. The difference between a stub and italic, an italic is more, like, so if you look at it, like, straight on, it has crisper edges. And the stubs, they typically round them off a little, so it's just a bit smoother when you're writing. Okay, I'm going to do the Pilot Parallel. I believe this is, yes, 2.4 millimeter. You know, after using these for so long, you think I would know what sizes the colors are, but I don't. Except for this one. This one is always Pilot Parallel. This is the 6.0 millimeter. Don't worry, I won't do this every time. I'm just going to do it this once. And details will be available in a blog post after each show. And then you can check them out if you want to. Check out the pens and such. This is the Pilot Metal Falcon. This is the soft fine nib. That is horrendous handwriting, so it's kind of comical that we're here to do learning letters when this is so ugly. But that's okay. So I have a bit of a variety here. The Metropolitan is probably these are the most inexpensive. So these are $10 each. This is $15. The Lamy, of course, you can also use the All-Star, but this one is like 29 or something, 29.60. The Sailor 1911, this is the large size. These go for like $250 to $288, depending on what finish you want. And I have the Pilot Metal Falcon. These are not inexpensive. These are also in the $240 range. You can also use the resin version, which is not as expensive. I just happen to have this one, and I like it, so we're going to go with that. The Metropolitan comes in various colors, and you can also get the 1.0 millimeter stub nib on it. The Lamy Safari, you can buy replacement Lamy nibs. You can get the 1.5, 1.9, and you can use that. And the Sailor, I'm using the music nib because it's a stub. And then for the Falcon, it's a soft fine. So it just gives us a little bit of line variation. Okay, so I'm just gonna start drawing letters, and we'll see how it goes. I don't really have a set plan for this. I just thought it would be fun. And I will try to refer to the style of calligraphy that I'm using. It is a style because there are many ways you can do like a foundational or an unseal. So this is the Gourmet pen style, which could be horrid. We will see. So for example, let's say we want to do like a unseal style. Okay, hopefully this is not frozen. Okay, it's not frozen. So I make a little like tail, and I keep the pen at an angle so that it makes a bit of an angle there, and that's it. Now again, I warn you, I'm not an expert. This is just all fun stuff. Like, this is what I do at home when if I'm watching a movie or, just puttering around. I just kind of play with letters. So it's a lot of fun. You can also use your larger Pilot Parallel, and it's not going to fit in that because, of course, if I try to do this, it's going to look hilarious and ridiculous. So you're going to have to increase your lines until you find one that seems suitable. I mean, it depends on like how big you want your letter, what kind of style you want. So I'm kind of using more of an angle here. So there we go. There was an H of sorts. I like to use these two for obviously smaller handwriting because you can just write it in the line. So if I were to do something like a foundational, which is rounder, we can do that's really ugly. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. So anyway, you could just see that it's much rounder than this version. So I make a nice smooth tail, and I try to keep it just like rounded out. That sounds kind of weird, but if you start drawing them, you'll kind of get what I mean there. I probably should have put a bigger nib on this one, but it's also a 1.1, so it's pretty close. It's cute. Now, the fun thing is, many of you probably already have a bunch of these pens at home. Like, these two are pretty popular, so you might already have these. And you also might have the Pilot Plumix, which has this nib, and that's completely fine too. That's like $8. You can also find those in like the blue and the purple, and there's like a black, so these come in tons of colors. So you don't have to use like what I'm using. Oh, I got ink on myself. But again, you probably have some of these at home already. Okay, so, and then like another H you can do that I use. You might laugh at my grip, but the reason I'm gripping this like this is because typically music nibs are supposed to be written with at a higher angle, because like historically you use them at a pretty high angle to the page so you can do your notes quickly. So it was more like this kind of style, and now we use them more like this, but not me. No, nay, I still ruin everything and make it weird. So kind of like what I just did. Okay, so let's try a capital H, and this is not a formal old style. This is just like a modern weird fun thing that I like to do. So that's it. I mean, anyone, you can all do this. So I just make a line and I keep the cross strokes low on the letter. You can also do a little h. It's just a fun thing. You can make them bigger. Like if I make a birthday card, I like to write happy birthday in this style across the front with a really big nib. So if we try that with something like this, you can do the narrow part of the nib and get something like that. Or we can do, let me switch to this one. Hopefully this is not terribly boring, but what you could do is prop your phone up and get your own pens and papers out and follow along, because there's no reason you cannot do this in the very comfort of work or home or wherever you may be. It's really very simple, and once you start to develop your own style, you can kind of just play on it. Okay, another fun thing, actually, I'm going to use one of these for this. I'll use the 6mm because it's my favorite. The music nib is fantastic, and it's not just fun for like hand lettering and stuff and like calligraphy style writing. It's an excellent daily writer, so I really, really enjoy the music nib. Okay, let's do I think this is an old English style, like with the wavy tails, but I add my own thing to it. But I turn the nib as I write, and then I get like a drippy tail. That sounds terrible, but that's what it is. You can do it just on one part of the letter, or you could do on both. And then I give it a little bit of a wings here. That's an option. Making sure you guys can actually see what I'm doing. I hope you're all silent because you all have pens in your hands and you're all making H's at home. You can also do if you don't want the tail, you can just make it a bit smoother. So I just kind of add things randomly. That's not necessarily the proper way to do it, but for me, this is a lot of fun. I enjoy this. Okay, so that's some of the stuff. The inks, just in case you're curious, this was the Kobe Taisanji Yellow. That's the one that I spilled. That's here. This is Aurora Blue Black. And I think, yeah, that was all so far. So this is Aurora Blue Black. Oh, someone sneezed in the vicinity. Yes, everyone, quietly in awe of my handwriting. Sure. Okay, one of the fun ones is the Pilot Falcon. If you are unfamiliar with it, it has apparently, as we discovered, like a falcon beak shape. So it has a bit of a ridge here, which lets it flex right at the ridge. And it's definitely a semi-flex. It's not a full flex. You're not going to see tines going like this and like all that magical stuff. But it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. So for this kind of H, I hold the pen. Let me see if I can do this properly. So that when I pull down, the tines are coming down at an angle. So I don't know if that makes any sense. I'll just show you. At a slant. That's the word I was looking for. Slant. This is a pretty standard H, just a cursive H. You can change your angle. This one's a lot of fun, sorry. The angle is not always the best, but. This ink is Bungbox Dandyism, which is really like a dark green. This one, I really enjoy this nib because you can do something classy and formal like these. You can do like a proper capital H. You can make that less flourishy if that does not appeal to you. You could even, do it more simply. It's really up to you, and that's the fun thing. Get some of these pens, and just try it out. Pick a sentence that you love to write, like something ridiculous, and or like your favorite quote, and just play around and see what you create. One of the ones that I enjoy is like a modern calligraphy style, which is more stretched out, like this. You can do that. You can make it less stretched out. You can even make it just like a normal looking H. You can do stuff like a computer type font. You can do dots, which is more, I guess, like a circuit board or something. Maybe. No, get less pens. No. The thing with pens is that I know some people say you only need one pen, but that's completely silly. You don't need one pen. You need pens to suit the hobby that you have. And if your hobby is, just pretty pens, then some people will collect pretty pens. If your hobby is using your pretty pens, then you will collect pretty pens and use them. My hobby is pretty pens, but also calligraphy, so it works out really well. That's how I convince myself to buy things that I feel like I shouldn't buy, but really enjoy using. Does that make any sense? Okay. Also, they're fairly reasonable. Like, I tried to pick reasonable ones that I use. I also use some insane pens that are not easily accessible. So these are ones that are easily accessible, relatively affordable. They definitely go up in price. Other options, there's the TWSBI, the Eco, and the 580. Both are available with a 1.1 millimeter stub nib, and they're piston fillers, so if you prefer that, that's another option. You are aiming for 12 pens. Oh my god. I would fail that mission. Really fast. I tried to do that once, and I sold a bunch of pens that I had but never really used, and I was happy with that. But I have way more than 12 pens. But I use them all. I don't let my pens sit around. I make sure to have a lot of fun with handwriting and the like. Okay, let me think. Are there any more H's that you might need to know? Probably, but I'm not the right person, obviously. I'm just having fun here. Okay. You can also use the music nib for this kind of thing, if you want a broader waterline. There's no reason you can't pick up whatever pen you have and practice this. Some require thicker lines coming down, and as a result, you need something that can give you line variation. But some you can just fake it. So here we go. Let's do another H. This is clearly not a calligraphy style. It's just, something fun. Oh, no. Okay, you got to use your pens. I'm a firm believer in using your pens. That's half the fun. Okay, I'm not very good at Gothic or black letter style, but I think it's something like this. Where they're long, tall, but kind of close together. I don't often do this kind of style because I just prefer the fluffier types, a rounded happy H, So I prefer those kinds, which is why I practice those more often. But I have gone on, and this is just our first episode, so hopefully this was useful. Hopefully you've learned something new and something that you might want to try out at home. It's totally doable. Don't be intimidated, because this is still like this is still a work in progress for me, and I've been doing this for years, and it's going to be many, many years before I ever feel like, oh, that's pretty good. And that's okay, because that means it's fun to practice, and the more you practice, if you practice properly, the better you will get. So you'll never be perfect, because no one is perfect, obviously, except for us pen people. But it's a lot of fun, and it's something you can do with kids and other friends who are pen friends and your parents. So lots of options. And you can always have like a calligraphy party. Okay, that's just my dream. Anyway, that wraps up today's learning letters. Today was letter H. If you are wondering what the next letter is, you're going to have to tune in next Friday, because some of you are going to figure it out, but you might not. It's going to be a surprise. Okay, thank you guys for joining. If you do start playing around, please tag us at Anderson Pen so we can see your fine work. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.